Let's bring this back to full circle here a little bit, and talk about what is required and what is not required at this point in time. I'm going to let you flip the. There you go. Once the concept plan has been approved by the Planning Commission, the final development plan for each of the plan unit developments must be reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission. Now, I have heard it said that you don't have any real discretion. Not so. In fact, you have an affirmative duty of the Planning Commission. Why have a Planning Commission then if you're not going to take on the hard problems? Final development plan shall be in accordance with the original concept plan. It shall be prepared by the applicant, etc. Landscaping and buffering plans, that was kind of a joke. They didn't do any job on that whatsoever, unless you count those little 7 trees down there at the lower left corner. Evidence that development will not impose an undue burden on public services and facilities such as fire and police protection. That is their obligation to present that. They have an affirmative duty to present that. They presented nothing on that. You can't grant what they want if they haven't done their job with respect to this. Now, this isn't something pulled out of the cloud here. This is your zoning code. It's going to carry it up here and show you. It's your code, your right, your obligation to enforce it. Further, signing, landscaping, etc. shall be submitted as part of the final development plan to assure the development will be properly integrated in the overall neighborhood and property adjacent to the area or phase will not adversely be affected. Now, Commissioner Karchis asked a question, but what does adversely affect? I think each and every one of you knows darn well adversely affected is what you heard from Joe Bertucci, from Terry Snyder, from Leah Hodge, from everybody that you heard. That is a serious adverse effect. I believe that when it says adversely affected, it does not limit it, say, to damages over $100,000. It also includes all of the quality of life issues, all of the things that add up. The traffic. There was no traffic study. You haven't commissioned that. They sure haven't done it. The damages, the noise. We have children on our street. The danger coming up our hill. It's a tight turn there. There should be a light down at the bottom. All of these different issues matter. And when you start adding them up, they get to be pretty significant. Joe Bertucci, my next door neighbor, lived there a long time. He had every right to receive that 2001 report that he was in dangerous land from the house and did not get it. Now, Joe's in his retirement years. I see him take excellent care of his yard. He works it hard. Today, as we speak, in real time, not 10 years ago, but today, he has got massive trucks in front of his yard for servicing and doing what he should have been advised by Niehaus is going to have to be done. His meticulous backyard is ripped to shreds right now. That's a material fact. Harry Snyder sure had them. They've all had them. They're all over us, folks. We know so much more now about hillside dangers and developments than we did back when the original PUD was formed. Cell phones weren't around back then. So just as we know so much more about the maintenance of forest fires, what to do to prevent them, not to take the risk involved with them, you know those same things about hillsides. We all know. Every person in this room knows it. Now, something we have not really talked about. We talked about the adverse effect. Let's now look at the other thing that is truly lacking, and they have not successfully addressed. To assure that the development will be properly integrated in the overall neighborhood. Let's look at this. We have 19 single-family homes. We have 2 witnesses here who said, you better be building a good home here. That's what John Niehaus says. This is a high-class neighborhood. Told that to Tom, told it to Tom Lennon. Also told him, well, you won't see anything up there. You only see the tops of them, maybe that's about it. This development here is not properly integrated into St. Anne's Avenue. Let's look at the other multifamily developments in Aspen Oaks. Let's take Stonehaven, isolated, over by the golf course. No other effect, no adverse effect on any single family home. Fox Hills, right at the beginning of the Aspen Oaks subdivision. No adverse effect whatsoever on any single family homes. Edinburgh, the same thing. We, on the other hand, are in extraordinarily close proximity to this proposed new development. And it is not properly integrated into the area. So, the final development plan does not satisfy 17.8. It cannot be approved because it does not assure that the adjacent areas of the phase will not be adversely affected. They submitted a bunch of bunk for a landscape plan. It does not include evidence of development, not impose an undue burden on public services and facilities, such as police and fire protection. No affirmative evidence presented in that whatsoever. And you've got the 2 issues with respect to the adverse effect and the not properly integrated. John Niehaus should be here tonight. Let's look at how this process has been treated from the word go. This commission and council asked us to submit a list of items that were important to us. We would like to see something done. 9 of them. Basically, it was deep 6. Nobody's addressed any of them. It was given to the engineer just last Friday. The engineer, your engineer, wrote, we've got some concerns. We've got some concerns about this plan that's been submitted here. What did they do with it? They said, oh, they're already in there. We don't have to answer anything, it's already in there. In other words, they dumped all over your own engineer because John Niehaus was too cheap to dig into the issues. They were requested by your engineer and ignored. So this is what we're dealing with. Let's talk about something else. There's been a lot of it, well, it's not this phase that we talk about those things. We're going to talk about them at the next phase, or the next phase. The real world does not work that way. What will happen if you were to improve this? The next phase, I guarantee, would be, hey, they've already approved it. You can't supervise Niehaus. You can't supervise whoever he's going to sell it off to. such a lack of trust there that it trumps just about everything else. Let's talk a little bit about, one more time, the earthworks ordinance. Why is this earthworks ordinance so important? For a lot of reasons. Number one, it says respect the environment, respect the hillsides, and respect the trees. And you're not doing it. And there's a number of people, and I got Steve Mackey's statement here, basically saying the mayor told him you're never going to have to worry about this again because we got an earthworks ordinance now. This being all the trees being torn. But the earthworks ordinance is a difficult ordinance to enforce. It requires permitting. It requires a great number of things. Constant monitoring. It requires good faith, quite frankly, on the part of the person you're trying to control, and you can't. John Niehouse's stated earthworks doesn't apply to him. He stated variances don't apply to him because he's got the budget. One thing we've all learned is when someone tells you what they're about, when someone tells you what they believe their position is, you darn well better believe that that's how they're going to act. And so, what's he going to say? Well, earthworks, it doesn't apply to me because they approved this. Wait a second. He's got it backwards. Earthworks is just as important in the scheme of this analysis. Let's change that slide to the next one. These are all the things that your earthworks enforcer has to do, which is quite a bit. And it shows all of the things that Mr. Niehaus would have to do in order to tear down all these trees. Here's the key. Retain as much existing vegetation as possible to slow water runoff and preservation of existing trees, shrubs, and other plants. Strongly encourage, and there is a section in there that says you can't tear them down anywhere further than what's necessary to build the foundation. He's got them coming down the entire length of it. There's no way around it. We have an engineer tonight that says, wait, once they get started, there's gonna be a tree on it. So you remember those pictures of all the mud and the bulldozers on them that Eric Russo showed you? That's what we're going to have. That's what we're going to have, and we're going to have it for a long, long time. That's an adverse impact too, by the way. So you've got violations of the earthworks ordinance entirely inherent in this plan. You can't approve something that's going to violate your own ordinances. One more thing. This earthworks ordinance has a number of positions for exemptions. Exemptions from the earthworks ordinance are if you're going to drill or agriculture. Let me tell you some of the things that are not exempt. You're not exempt from the earthworks ordinance if you save money because you tear the trees down and build the development so close to the roadway. You can build it up the hill, but it's not going to impact anybody. Far, far away from this, especially when you own as much land as Niehaus does. Earthworks does not include an exemption if you want to try to carve out a little bit of a view of a golf course or whatever he's trying to do by taking them down. That's not an exemption for earthworks. It's not an exemption for earthworks if you want to stick the first 4 buildings like this development has out there like a promenade. You want to show you got the new development. Earthworks does not get granted an exemption for that. It does not grant an exemption, and nor should you assist Mr. Niehaus in scraping together the last 2 nickels out of a lousy development site for profit. Why do I bring that up? I bring it up because I've heard comments such as, St. Anne's people, well, they moved there knowing this was going to be up. They should expect this. No. What we should expect is for North Bend to honor the compact we have with them as tax-paying residents. We have a compact with you. We know the value of emergency services and the cost. We know what it takes to keep an independent village, and when those other entities start coming our way, domino-like effect, we know what to do when we know how to fight. That's who you represent. That's what your oath of office says. Your oath of office says nothing, nor should you even begin to assist Niehaus or any other developer in scraping the last dollar out of a plan. So thanks for your consideration. One more thing.